Bhumashatu ma sadgamaya tamashu ma jyotirgamaya mrityur ma amritam gamaya aviravir maidhi rudro yatte dakshinam mukham tenamang pahi nityam om shanti shanti shanti.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to be back here in Hollywood, and I offer my pranams to revered Maharaj and thanks and gratitude for arranging this event and asking me to speak here. The subject, as he said, is 5 verses on enlightenment, or 5 verses on illumination. The context is a well-known incident from the life of Shankaracharya about 1200 years, 1300 years ago. And this story, in fact, Sri Ramakrishna, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you'll find a couple of times Sri Ramakrishna refers to this incident actually. So the story goes like this. Adi Shankaracharya, when he was in Benares, in the holy city of Benares, Kashi, so after a auspicious holy dip in the Ganga there with his disciples, he is walking down the very narrow lanes of Benares. Those who have been there, you know. And from the other side, he sees a Chandala, somebody from the lowest caste, coming straight at him. The descriptions differ. Some description is that the Chandala is accompanied by a bunch of dogs. Another description is, Sri Ramakrishna says the Chandala was actually carrying a load of meat. Whatever it is, we have to keep in mind the very hierarchical caste structure of ancient India. So there are very strong caste prejudices. And Shankaracharya, who comes from a very high Brahmin caste in Kerala in the south, he reacts as would a member of his class in this situation, of his caste in this situation, and he says, move aside, step aside, give way, expecting that the Chandala would hurriedly, deferentially step aside. But lo and behold, nothing of the sort. You can imagine the Chandala grinning and saying to Shankaracharya, "O noble Brahmin, what do you want to step aside from what? This body from that body? But bodies are impure anyway. I mean, your body and my body are made of the same flesh and bone and blood and all sorts of gooey stuff. Same thing. Why should one body step aside from another body? Or do you mean consciousness should step aside from consciousness, which is impossible anyway, and why should it? As consciousness, he is quoting Shankaracharya's own philosophy back to him. But we are all one awareness, one pure consciousness. So why should consciousness, even if it could, why should consciousness step away from consciousness? It's one undivided consciousness. Annamayam eva annamayat, athava chaitanyam eva chaitanyat. This body made of food from another body made of food. Or consciousness from consciousness. He dvijavara, kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. That, oh noble Brahmin, what are you saying? That step away, get away from me, make way for me. It reminded me of this. I mean, it's nothing to do with the subject, but a really silly joke I read a long time ago. This Reader's Digest, we used to get them. So here is the British warship, HMS Prince of Wales, sailing down in the Mediterranean. And it's foggy, and they see a light in the distance. And the captain says, hail them, we have the right of way. Tell them to give way, whatever that ship is. And so they signal, give way. And they see a signal coming. They used to have this light flashing signal like the Morse code. They are signaling from that distance in the fog. They can say, give way. The captain is furious. Signal them. We are HMS Prince of Wales. Give way. And then the signal went out. Then they see signal coming in. What are they saying? They're saying, this is the island of Gibraltar. You give way. There was a lighthouse. So Shankaracharya, you give way. and to his surprise, he's stunned to see this Chandala, who you would expect to behave differentially, defer to this the great Shankaracharya, no question of giving way, rather challenges him, and goes on to say, the same sun shining in the pure water, the holy water of the Ganges there, and the same sun shining in a little puddle in the slum where I live. Is the sun affected by that? No, it's the same sun. Meaning thereby, if you consider yourself to be the sacred water of the Ganges, you coming from a Nambudri Brahmin caste in Kerala, and you are a sannyasi now, and if you consider me to be like that puddle in a slum, all right, but from the point of consciousness which you talk about, is it affected? Or he says, gives another example. The space, there is a golden pot and there is a clay pot. The space space enclosed in the golden pot and the space enclosed in the clay pot, they are one and the same. Just because the enclosure is a golden pot and the enclosure is a clay pot doesn't make a difference. So why are you telling me to step aside? So this was a moment of reckoning, of sudden insight for Shankaracharya, and he responds by composing these 5 magnificent verses which he recites at that moment. They are called 5 verses on illumination, Manisha Panchakam, 5 verses on enlightenment. And in these 5 verses, he actually encompasses the entirety of the Advaita teaching. All of Advaita Vedanta, in all its complexity and subtlety, you find the essence in these 5 verses. So they've become very popular among non-dualists. We won't do 5 verses, we don't have the time. But the first 3 verses, I think, are more than enough. I mean, they cover all the essentials. So let's see how it goes. The first verse goes, Jagrat swapna sushuptishu sputatara ya samvidujrimbhate ya brahmadi pipilikanta tanushu prota jagat sakshini saivaham na cha drishya vastu iti dridha pragyapi yasyasti chet chandalo astu satu dvijo astu gurur ityesha manisha mama. Very beautiful, lucid Sanskrit. Shankaracharya says, in waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, there is one consciousness which is blazing forth. So in the first sentence itself, he indicates the essential insight of Advaita Vedanta. The shortest and the most powerful of the Upanishads, the Mandukya Upanishad, all that it has to say, Mandukya Upanishad, which has only 12 mantras, but it is set in Gaudapada's Mandukya Karika. Gaudapada was the teacher of Shankaracharya's teacher, and probably one of the most advanced texts, and certainly one of the foundational texts of Advaita Vedanta is this Mandukya Karika. The Upanishad is called Mandukya Upanishad, and the commentary on the Upanishad by Shankaracharya's guru's guru, Gaudapada, is called the Mandukya Karika, on which Shankaracharya has written a commentary on the Upanishad and the Mandukya Karika also. So that's how you study the whole thing now. But whatever it has to say, that whole work, all that is sort of summarized by Shankaracharya in this one short line. What does he mean to say? Consider our experience. Waking, you the waker and your world, waker's world. You the dreamer and all that we experience in our dreams. We and our own dreams. And then we go into deep sleep. We are in deep sleep. We are not aware of an external world. We are not aware of any dreams. In fact, we are not even aware of our individual existence. We are not aware of anything. And yet, that is a kind of experience that even there is experience, because we wake up and we say that I slept happily. I did not know anything. How can we say that unless there was some kind of basal experience, some kind of proto-awareness there? Shankaracharya says, consider our experience. In the waking state itself, we are experiencing many things now. If you see what you're seeing the shrine and the Swami sitting there, you're looking at me, you're looking at the chandelier, looking at your neighbors. The objects are different. What you see, each object is different. The shrine is different, a different entity. The Swami is a different entity, and the chandelier is a different entity. We see one entity after another, one thing after another we are seeing. But all of them are appearing to the same awareness. Are you with me? The same awareness, am aware of the shrine, of the Swami, of the chandelier. Objects keep changing. As the objects keep changing, our experience changes. The experience of the shrine and experience of the Swami and experience of the chandelier are different. 3 different experiences. Yet, what accounts for the difference of these 3 different experiences? The objects are different. But the consciousness, the awareness which experience these different objects, it's the same. Is it not? Do we say that a different consciousness? You say, no, I saw the shrine. I saw the Swami. Now I am seeing the chandelier. That I is an aware I, a conscious I. That I is constant in all the experiences, and that I is, you will see what is the essential nature of that I is awareness. It says, so what? If you are okay with this is very common sense, you are okay with this. Now extend it to all experiences, not just seeing 3 things. Hearing, you're hearing words, what I'm saying, music, little while ago we are listening to music. Is it not the same awareness which was seeing those 3 things, the same awareness has heard the music and is now hearing the words, true or not? Same awareness. It gives us the experience of seeing many things. It gives us experience of hearing many things. Same awareness. Gives us the experience of tasting many things, smelling and touching many things. The same awareness continues. The objects of experience are many, and therefore experiences are many. And the objects need not be external objects also. They could be internal objects, like thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas. Even this, what we are discussing, is an idea shining in your awareness. It was not there a little while ago, and hopefully it will stay for a while. But still, it's an idea, and bound to go at one time. So this consciousness is common to all the experiences. Sensory experience, which are called perceptions, and internal experiences, which are called apperceptions. They come and go, the objects are various, consciousness is one and continuous. That is the story of our waking life. And then we fall asleep. This entire world of objects disappears. We are not even aware of this body which has gone and fallen asleep on the bed. We forget that too. And a world of dreams is generated. World of dreams. Where again there are objects. They are dreamt. And at that time it does not feel like a dream. It feels that we are awake. We are actually having experiences. We don't suspect usually that we are in a dream. It's only after we wake up, we say, oh, that was a dream. And all that I saw was imagined in the mind. All the people I met there were imagined in the mind. All the events that happened there were imagined in the mind. But when I say all, that means there are many objects there. All the imagined objects, and they come and go. We see, hear, smell, taste, touch, so many things within quotes. We actually do not see, hear, smell, taste, touch anything because all the senses are downtime. But it's all imagined in the mind. The point Shankaracharya wants to say is, the same consciousness which is illumining all the experiences in our waking state, it continues unbroken in the dream state. All the objects thrown up by the mind in the dream, they are illumined by the same unchanging consciousness. I hope you are with me. Don't fall asleep, don't dream. The whole point of Advaita is to be awake and to attend to our experiences. Experiences now, and then recall our experiences in dream and deep sleep, recall them and compare them, and show that they all happen to the same consciousness. See, Advaita is interested in us, but not in the contents of our experiences. What I mean by this is, when we talk about waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, I've seen often people ask questions, Swami, I dreamt this. What does it mean? Advaita will say, not interested. Advaita is not interested in the contents of our dreams. Then, Advaita is interested in you, is interested in us, the one which is dreaming. Do you see the difference between the dreamer and the dream? No? We are so engrossed in this world of waking. We are not aware of the waker apart from the objects. We are so engrossed in the dreams, we do not consider for one moment the dreamer to whom the dream is happening. Advaita is interested in you. One gentleman goes to a teacher, Advaita teacher, and says, "Oh Swami, I am so miserable." And the monk shouts at him, "I don't care." How cruel. You don't care? I've got so many miseries in my life. I'm not interested in your miseries. I'm interested in you. Thereby opening up a gap between I and my miseries. That's very, very important. This insight, this is what Shankaracharya is doing. All that we consider to be real and important and maybe tragic or wonderful in our day-to-day lives, this is real and important. This is my life. All of it disappears when we go to sleep. All of it disappears. True or not? And a different world replaces it. Yes, a world of imagination, a world created from materials salvaged from our waking state. True. But that comes. And we continue to experience that. And there are problems in that world, all of which we laugh at when we wake up. And then that too disappears. Deep sleep. Somebody may say, in deep sleep consciousness does not continue. So your whole thesis, I see that you're driving towards identifying the self with consciousness, with this continuous consciousness. But now what will you say? In deep sleep there is no consciousness. But Advaita Vedanta says, Shankaracharya says, consciousness continues in deep sleep. What is not there in deep sleep is something, yes, the mind is not there. What is deep sleep? When the senses are not engaged with the world outside and reporting sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. When the mind is not imagining its dreams. That is deep sleep. So the senses are shut down, the mind is shut down. That is deep sleep. But it does not say consciousness shuts down. In deep sleep there is consciousness, but nothing to be conscious about. Let me repeat that. Deep sleep is a state in which consciousness continues, as it is continuing now, as it continues in dreams, but there is nothing to be conscious about. And that's why to the waking mind, to the active mind, it looks like nothing. It looks like nothing. But if it was nothing, you couldn't come back and report it. Notice, suppose deep sleep had no consciousness at all. Suppose deep sleep was not an experience at all. You are not there to experience it. Suppose consciousness was not there to experience it. Then how would we talk about it? We would say, I was awake, I went to bed, and I remembered some dreams, and then I woke up. We would not say there was a period of nothingness, absolute rest. You see, I slept like a log. I didn't know anything at all. It was so restful. Every culture in our world makes a distinction between sleep with dreams and sleep without dreams. Even modern medicine, this whole sleep science, and they talk about REM sleep and non-REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep and non-rapid eye movement sleep. And when that rapid eye, it seems that in parts of our sleep, the eyeballs move rapidly. If you wake up the subject at that time, the subject reports dreams, vivid dreams. And there is a period of time when the eyeballs do not move. And if you do wake up the subject at that time, the person will report no dreams. So that means even physiologically, there is confirmation of dreamless sleep and sleep with dreams. Shankaracharya's point is, Consciousness continues uninterrupted. Uninterrupted. Through the waking state, through the dream state, through the deep sleep state. Therefore, consciousness is not trapped with one body and mind. If the body disappears from your awareness, you're still experiencing dreams. If the mind also stops, you're still experiencing blankness. So consciousness is not stuck, is not limited to a body. This is a great, great insight of Advaita Vedanta. If this step is taken, if you have questions about this, keep it in mind. We have a Q&A session coming up. But if this step is taken, what you are saying here is, what Shankaracharya is saying here is, you, the awareness, your essential nature, our essential nature is awareness. That awareness is not produced by the brain, as the materialist would have us believe. That it's a product of the brain. That it is working through, that it is somehow based on matter. No. Consciousness is independent of the brain. It works through the brain. It's something like, you all came in through the door. Now if I say, the door is a wonderful thing, it produced all these people. Why? I can see them. You're coming through the ear, it's being produced, they're being produced by the door. And then after some time it absorbs all these people. No. You just walk through the door and you walk out of the door. So the brain and the nervous system is like a portal, like a machine which consciousness uses. Consciousness is distinct from the body, though working in and through the body. And it needs the body. It needs the mind too. It needs the eyes to see, it needs the ears to hear, it needs the tongue to have the experience of, conscious experience of tasting. It needs the mind to have these thoughts. In fact, to do Vedanta, it needs the mind. So, consciousness is an independent reality, our own reality, which is not dependent, which is not produced by the body. It's not a part of the body, it's not even a product of the brain or nervous system. So consciousness is not material nature. Material nature is not fundamental to consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental. This is what Shankaracharya, the first point he wants to say. Consciousness is distinct from body-mind. This is the first point. It is the first step of Advaita. Notice, if you say consciousness is distinct from the body-mind, working through the body-mind, illumining our experiences in waking, dreaming, deep sleep, it is still not non-duality. Because now you have two things. One, consciousness, and the other one, material nature. Body, mind, world, everything else. Which gives experiences to consciousness. So you have two fundamental realities. Now you have a question. That in my body-mind, the question which comes up automatically, in this body-mind, all right, I am consciousness shining through this body and mind, and I experience Sarvapriyananda. And through this Sarvapriyananda body-mind, I experience the world as a person. But then there are so many persons here. So how many consciousnesses? How many consciousnesses? One or many? You have been listening to Vedanta too long. But it looks like many. Clearly there are many bodies. Clearly there are many minds. How do you know there are many bodies? You can count them. The usher has been counting. So that's why I can see them. They're turning away all people there because it's full. So they've been counting. That means there is a distinct number of people. How do you know there are many minds? Pretty easy. If I ask you to describe your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions right now, if we give a psychology questionnaire to everybody, different answers will come. Different descriptions will come. So each of us is having a different internal experience right now. That is also pretty clear. So many bodies, many minds, many consciousnesses. Shankaracharya says, no. Ya brahmadi pipilikanta tanushu prota jagat sakshini. Starting from the highest of the gods, Brahma, all the way down to a little, an humble ant. All through that, there is one golden thread of consciousness running through all bodies and minds. What is the argument for that? Well, Advaita turns the question around. How would you distinguish consciousness from one body to another body? You see, to distinguish two things, you need distinguishing features. And all the distinguishing features between two persons are exhausted by the differences in body and mind. Whatever you could say distinguishes me from the other person. You will see it's a difference in the body or in the mind. But in the witnessing consciousness, in the pure subject, what difference is there? So we could discuss this later if you have questions. But Shankaracharya takes the next step in Advaita Vedanta. Having distinguished consciousness from body and mind, he says it is one consciousness in and through all bodies and minds. Notice two things have been said so far. One is, it is one unchanging consciousness in and through all the experiences which each one of us has. Throughout our waking life, throughout our dream life, throughout our deep sleep. In all of these, we have thousands and thousands of experiences. Shankaracharya says, but there is one distinct consciousness running through all of these experiences, to which all of these experiences are happening. Point one. Apart from body and mind, you are this unchanging one consciousness. Point one. Point two, in all bodies and minds, it's the same consciousness. It's one consciousness. Gita, Sri Krishna says, it is one in all bodies and minds, undivided in all bodies and minds, appearing to be divided. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu, vibhaktam iva cha sthitam. Undivided in all bodies and minds, there is this one consciousness which seems to be different. Why does it seem to be different? Because bodies are different, because minds are different, because personalities are different. Shankaracharya says, from the highest god Brahma down to the lower gods, Indra, Chandra, Varuna and all of that, down to the Gandharvas and so on, down to us, human beings, and to lower animals, and to the most humble of creatures, mere little tiny creatures, there is one consciousness running through all of them. So consciousness is one reality and the rest. And he gives it a beautiful name. Ya Jagat Sakshini. She who is the witness of the entire universe. A crucial point. When I talk about one consciousness here, I can say this consciousness is the witness of this body and mind. I am the witness of this body and mind. And through this body and mind, I witness the world. That's one point of view. My consciousness point of view here. But Shankaracharya says if it is one consciousness in all bodies and minds, then it is the one experiencer of all experiences. It is the one subject of all objects. Not only the objects which are presented to this body and mind, but the objects which are presented to all bodies and minds, human and non-human. So it is one consciousness in all bodies and minds. And he calls it the witness of the universe. And he uses a feminine there, Jagat Sakshini, she who is the witness of the entire universe. This is the Vedantic conception of God. What is the Vedantic conception of God? Just as I am an individual, I feel I am limited to this body and mind. Imagine a consciousness which identifies with all beings in the universe. Right now, all 7 billion human beings on earth and God knows how many billions of other sentient creatures and God knows how many other billions of other creatures in maybe other worlds or whatever there is. All of that together, if there's a consciousness which says, I am all of this. So that is the Vedantic conception of God. And you can think of that God as male or female, as the Divine Mother. And here Shankaracharya chooses to call it female, Jagat Sakshini. And then he takes the next step. He says, Saivaham nacha drishya vastuviti, sa eva aham. I am she. Not sometimes usually we say I am he, but here Shankaracharya very lucid, in a very relaxed way he says, I am she. We are one with the Divine Mother. Who am I? Am I only the consciousness in this body? If I say that, that's still a step ahead. That's a pretty big step, but that is Sankhya philosophy or Yoga philosophy. If I say I am one consciousness in all bodies, then we have gone towards Vedanta. We have gone beyond Sankhya. So I am this one consciousness, Prota, he says, running in and through all bodies, like a garland of gems through which a string or a thread runs through all the gems. There's a subtle point here. When you look at a garland of gems, you feel that in all the gems, there's inside that one thread runs through it. So the thread is in the gems. But if you consider it more seriously, you will see the gems are set on the thread. That's why it's a garland. It's not that there's a little bit of consciousness running through us. Consciousness is primary, and we are all set in consciousness. Ya Jagat Sakshini. Saivaham, I am that. Not Drishya Vastu, not an object of experience. Here, Shankaracharya gives us a fundamental Advaitic way of inquiry, of self-inquiry. What is self-inquiry? Who am I? What am I? How do I do that? What is the method? Look at your own experience. Consider our own experience. How do I do that? How do I consider my own experience? Here is the instrument. Here is the method. What is the method? The method is, if I am aware of something, I am not that. It's an object. What does that mean? Here, I am aware of the chandelier. So I am not the chandelier. And you'll say, obviously, Swami, you're not the chandelier. We used to read these Asterix comics when we were kids. I don't know, some of you must have read them. Asterix and Obelix. They're popular in India. And Tintin comics and things like that. So there's this, it's set in ancient Gaul, in the Roman Empire's time. And they're visiting an ancient psychiatrist. And so there are patients sitting outside. And one of the patients goes on all fours, and somebody asks, what's wrong with him? He thinks he's a dog. And then he goes in, and after some time he comes out walking like this. And people are impressed. Wow, that's a really tremendous cure. So he doesn't think he's a dog? The psychiatrist said, no, he still thinks he's a dog. I just taught him to beg. We think we are an object. No, Swami, I don't think I'm an object. Yes, we do. This body, am I aware of this body? Can I see the body? Of course. Can you see your own body? Of course. Can you taste, touch, feel, even hear the body? Of course. The body is an object to all our senses. Clearly we are aware of the body. It's an object, and we have absolutely no doubt that I am it. So I, the subject, I so easily identify myself with an object, the body. We may argue, no, I don't think I am the body. I am in the body. I am embodied. I am a consciousness and awareness in the body. It's my body, but I'm in the body. I'm a person in the body. But a person is somebody who's identified with thoughts, a personal history. But even the thoughts, our own memories, our own personality, that's also an object. Is it not so? Am I not aware of my own thoughts? When we look inside, introspect, yes. Happy thoughts, I'm aware of it. Miserable thoughts, depressing thoughts, I'm aware of it. All the thoughts that we have, good and bad, we usually torture ourselves with our thoughts. Why? Because I think I am that. That's who I am. But that's also an object. Shankaracharya gives us the instrument. If you are aware of it, you are not it. It's a thing. Every thought is a thing. Shed this identification with thoughts. We are holding it tightly. Let it go. It will still be there. Don't worry. The mind will not disappear. I lost my mind somewhere. I went to a Vedanta class. I was sitting in the third row. Could you please look at, if you can find my mind there? I left it there. You'll be blessed if you can leave your mind there like that. But notice, you don't have to physically leave it anywhere. Just notice, I am not it. You know what thoughts are like? Like that ray of sunlight coming through the window, and there are motes of dust which whirl around, tiny motes of dust, Brownian movement we learned in school. Thoughts are like that. In the constant sunlight of awareness, thoughts come like little bits of dust. They float around and they shine and then they disappear. So I am not those little motes of dust. Na drishya vastu. Anything that we are aware of, we are not it. It's a very good instrument to use. Whenever we are troubled, miserable thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, feelings, I am not it. because I'm aware of it. Will it go away? Eventually, but even when it is there, it will not trouble you. Because you see, I am the unaffected witness of that. I was there before it, I am there when it is shining, I will be there after it is gone. Not only that, it's shining in my light. It's in the mind which is lit up by me, the consciousness. Nadrishya vastu. And a person who knows this clearly, dridhamati, dridhapragya, such a person, let it be a chandal and outcast, or let that person be a Brahmin of the highest caste, such a person is my guru, that is my conviction, Shankaracharya says. Such a person is my guru. Okay, we took nearly 40 minutes for one verse. Then next, Shankaracharya says, Brahmaivaham idam jagatcha sakalam chinmatra vistaritam sarvam hi etad avidyaya trigunaya ashesham maya kalpitam ittham yasya dridhamati sukhatare nitye pare nirmale chandalo vastu satu dvijo vastu gurur ityesha manisha mama. I am Brahman, and all this world is an expression, is a manifestation in me, the consciousness. Here is something I would just like to bring before you. These 5 verses, Manisha Panchakam, they embody the central teachings of Advaita Vedanta. Now, the central teaching of Advaita Vedanta is very easy to express. There are these short sentences called Mahavakya, the great sentences, which embody the entire teaching, compress the entire teaching of Advaita Vedanta. One of them is very famous, Tattvamasi. There was a very senior devotee whose name was Tattvamasi, right? In Santa Barbara. So, Tattvamasi, that thou art, that Brahman, you are. That expresses the entire teaching of Advaita Vedanta. In fact, Advaita Vedanta is nothing more than understanding the meaning of this sentence. So there are 4 such sentences, one from each of the Vedas. Actually, there are many more, but conventionally, formally, one is taken from each of the Vedas. So from the Rig Veda, Aitareya Upanishad, the sentence is Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman. From the Sama Veda, the sentence is Tattvamasi, that thou art, from Chandogya Upanishad. From the Yajur Veda, the sentence is Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, taken from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And from the Atharva Veda, the sentence, the Mahavakya is Ayam Atma Brahma, this very self is Brahman, taken from the Mandukya Upanishad. Now, it's an interesting thing that the 5 verses, the first 4 verses, each of these verses is built around one of these sentences. What Shankaracharya has done is taken up these sentences and then written a verse about it. So the first verse which we just talked about, that one consciousness in waking, dreaming and deep sleep, that one consciousness running through all beings, that I am, not an object. This verse is built around the sentence, consciousness is Brahman, Prajnanam Brahma. This next verse, the second one which we are doing, is built around I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I am Brahman, Brahmaivaham. I am Brahman. And what is this world? It is nothing other than an appearance in consciousness. Chinmatra vistaritam. Consciousness alone appearing as its own object. Now what he's doing here is taking the final step in non-duality. We have taken 2 steps already. What were the 2 steps? You're looking like, yes indeed. What were the 2 steps? First, to see that I am consciousness, I am not the body and mind. How did we do that? I am the one continuous consciousness in waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Step 1. Step 2, the consciousness is the same in all beings, not different consciousnesses. There's only one consciousness. Apart from our bodies and minds, we are the one consciousness shining in all bodies and minds. Second, step 2. But that still leaves duality. What is the duality? One consciousness, but infinite number of bodies, minds, external objects. So there's a multiplicity, a plurality. It's not non-duality. Now what Shankaracharya does is, in the second verse, the first line, he says, all these things you see, yes, and all that you hear and smell and taste and touch, what is these objects? What is their relationship to consciousness? The question being asked is, we are aware of something. All our experience is subject-object. Is it not so? All our experience is subject-object. I am the subject, and what I am aware of is the object. And we found that the subject is nothing but consciousness, unchanging consciousness, and what we experience is a mass of objects. But now let us ask, what is the relationship between subject and object? What is the relationship between consciousness and its objects? Shankaracharya says the objects are nothing but consciousness. Just like in a dream, what is the relationship between you, the dreamer, and all the people and things and events which you see in the dream? What are they? Are they different from you? You're not sure. When you wake up, what do you feel about all the things you saw in your dream? You say, oh, it was a dream. What do you mean when you say, oh, it was a dream? It was nothing but me. My mind, I projected that. They seemed to be outside me. But when I wake up, I saw, oh, okay, it was all in me, in my mind. Is that not so? In the same way, just like a dream and the dreaming mind, consciousness and its objects are like that. Consciousness experiences itself by projecting itself as objects. This is the statement. This is the stand that Advaita Vedanta takes. What happens then? In that case, the objects are not different from consciousness. What I mean is, if you dreamt, suppose you are experiencing this, and suddenly you wake up and you say, oh no, I missed the Vedanta class. I took a nap and I was sleeping and I was dreaming I was in the Vedanta class. And I saw that there were 100 people all around me. When you dreamt, you saw there were 100 people all around you. When you wake up, what happens? What do you realize? How many were there actually? How many were there actually in the dream? One. Yes, you alone were there. The dreamer was there. That's all. And all of them, all those who appeared to be different, they were not different from you. Non-dual. No second. Non-dual means not two. In your dream, it is always non-dual. Compared to the dreamer, there is no second entity in the dream. There is no other person, no crowd, no trees and animals, no sky or earth or ocean, nothing except you. There is no second entity there except you. Like that, Shankaracharya is claiming, from the point of consciousness, there is no second entity. Whatever consciousness experiences, all the millions of entities and events throughout lifetimes, they are not a second entity apart from consciousness. It is so good. What is it to me? You are that consciousness. Whatever you are experiencing is not a second entity apart from you. If it was a second entity apart from you, it should be provable in some way. But you cannot prove the existence of anything. You cannot experience anything without consciousness. So if you cannot experience anything without consciousness, we must admit whatever we are experiencing is experienced in awareness, in consciousness. And if it is experienced in consciousness, it is in some sense related to consciousness. It's not apart from consciousness. It's not a second existence apart from consciousness. I'm trying to use English. In Sanskrit, when the scholars or the Swamis teach, they'll use language like this. I still remember one Swami teaching this. What is the relationship? How do you analyze this world? What they say is this. I'll translate into English and you will see. They will say, all right, look at this world which you are aware of, in your awareness. What is this world made of? This world is made of 5 elements, the traditional cosmology. Sky and wind and fire and water and earth. 5 elements. So whatever you see in this universe, the physical universe, is 5 elements. All right, step 1. Step 2. All the 5 elements are modifications of Maya. We are talking about traditional Vedantic cosmology. I must tell that, otherwise I'll be not giving you a vital part of the link of the chain. So all of these emerge from Maya. So what is this world ultimately? 5 elements. And what are the 5 elements? Maya. So the whole world is Maya. The typical thing which you hear in Indian villages, anyone who has not even studied Vedanta will say, Sab Maya, everything is Maya. But what they're saying is Vedanta backs it up. Yes, everything is Maya because everything is a product of Maya and not different from Maya. And Maya, which is made of 3 gunas. Shankaracharya says, Sarvam hi etad avidyaya trigunaya ashesham maya kalpitam. All of this is made of Maya. Avidya means Maya. Made of the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And has been projected by me, the consciousness, because Maya is not separate from consciousness. What is Maya ultimately? It is grounded in consciousness, in Brahman. It is the power of Brahman. It has no existence apart from Brahman. Its existence is borrowed from Brahman. When we start learning Vedanta, we have this text called Vedanta Sara. And one line we have to memorize, the fundamental teaching of Vedanta. Vastu Satchidanandam Advayam Brahma Ajnanadi Sakala Jada Samuha Vastu. The reality is existence, consciousness, bliss, the non-dual Brahman. And everything starting from Maya downwards, all that is an object is not real in itself. So this is a fundamental tenet of Advaita Vedanta. We can discuss this in the Q&A. So Maya, all the 5 elements are nothing but Maya, and Maya is nothing but Brahman. Its reality is Brahman. So this world is pervaded through and through by Brahman. Pervaded through and through by Brahman means what? Here is this hall. If you switch on a light, the light pervades the hall. Is it like that? There is a universe and it is pervaded by Brahman like the light pervading the hall? No. It is like there is the ocean. And there are thousands of waves in the ocean. And all the waves are pervaded by water. So it's not that there are waves and then the water enters into them somehow. It is the water alone. Every bit of a wave is water. So every bit of Maya is Brahman. Every bit of the 5 elements which you see expressed here are Brahman. And everything that is made of the 5 elements, this universe, is Brahman. So that is the meaning of Brahman alone appears. Just like waves appear in water, and the table appears in wood, and ornaments appear in gold, in the same way, this universe appears in Brahman with name and form and function. Nama, Rupa, Vyavahara. And a person who knows this, beyond any doubt, who is settled in this knowledge, has clarity in this knowledge, such a person, be it an outcast or be it the highest Brahmin, is my Guru. Shankaracharya says, is my Guru. The 3rd verse, Shashwan Nashwarameva Vishwamakhilam Nishchitya Vacha Gurur Nishchitya Vacha Gurur Nityam Brahma Nirantaram Vimrishata Nirvyaja Shantatmana Bhutam bhavi cha dushkritam pradahata samvinmaye pavake prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapur ityesha manisha mama. This 3rd verse is based on, very loosely, on the great saying Tat Tvamasi, that thou art. This 3rd verse tells us about spiritual life and the ultimate goal of being an enlightened person. What does it tell us? We realize that the world is impermanent. Everything passes away. And Vivekananda says so powerfully, fools die and the learned die, sages die and saints die and sinners die, emperors die and paupers die, all come to death. So everything passes away. Shashwan Nashwaram, everything is destructible, transient. And when is it destructible? All the time. It's all the time passing away. The Sanskrit word for the universe is Jagat, Gacchati iti Jagat, that which is going continuously. The Sanskrit word for body, Shariram, Shiryate iti Shariram, which is continuously degenerating. That's not a very nice way of calling the body. That which is continuously falling apart. And that's the body. Shiryate, decaying, aging, passing away. The very nature of this world, when we see this, we see there is no firm footing in this world. There is no firm found, nothing to catch hold of in this world. There is no ultimate satisfaction in this world. Nishchitya vacha guru. And then you go to the guru, the teacher of Vedanta, who teaches. What does this guru teach? So this is where the connection is with Tattvamasi. The ultimate teaching of the guru is that thou art. Not straight away. So we go to the guru and the guru says, that thou art. So what am I then? There was a student, the classic story of a student who goes to a teacher of Vedanta and says, teach me, give me enlightenment. And the guru says, that thou art. And the student says, yeah, I know that. That's from the Chandogya Upanishad and it means this and means that. And the guru says, I understand the problem. Take him to the cowshed, the Goshala. Let him work there. Now this poor boy, what could he do? He's a college boy, he has never worked in a cowshed. But anyway, the guru has said you have to go and do that. So he starts working there. It's smelly and he's scared of the cows. And the cows know it, that he's scared of them. And it's a tough life. Days passed. And then months later, he's exhausted and he's desperate. And he asks, when will the guru give me enlightenment? So after a 1 full year, the guru calls him. Come tomorrow. I'll give you enlightenment. So the next day, take a good bath before you come. So he takes a good bath, puts on new clothes, and goes to the guru and bows down. Oh Guru, give me enlightenment. And the guru says, yes, that thou art, Tattvamasi. And the student says, oh, I get it now. A mischievous student said, Swami, I think he said that because he was afraid of being sent back to the cowshed again. Yes. So all the teachings, of course the entire teaching of Vedanta is there, building it up, but the climax is that the core teaching is that ultimate reality, that thou art. And then the student spends time, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, hearing, reasoning, meditating upon it. And this is described as Nityam Brahma Vimrishatam, Nirantaram Vimrishatam, reflecting upon the eternal Brahman in comparison to the non-eternal transient world which we inhabit. Hearing about it, thinking about it, and meditating upon it. Nirvyaja Shantatmana. He is indicating a lot in these little words. With a serene and pure mind. So this is the qualification for Vedanta. So behind this is, for pure mind, you need Karma Yoga. Chitta Shuddhi, purification of the mind. Karma Yoga is indicated here. For serene and concentrated mind, one needs Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga. Upasana is indicated here. So all these things are completed. And the result will be the serene mind and pure mind. The serene mind and pure mind also indicate the fourfold qualifications for a Vedantic student. Viveka, Vairagya, the sixfold treasures, and Mumukshutva of the desire for freedom, just indicated here. Just a little while ago I was talking to one gentleman and I was saying, what is the relationship between these practices? One interesting metaphor is I got from a Buddhist source is this. To drink the tea of Advaita, non-duality. What do you need? First you need a nice table. And then you put the cup on that. And then you pour the tea into it and you can drink it. So the firm table is Karma Yoga. And which gives you a firm footing, ethical, unselfish life. And then you graduate to putting the cup on it. The cup is the inward turned, focused, peaceful, concentrated mind, which you get through meditation, japa and meditation. And in that cup alone, you pour the tea of jnana, of knowledge. So it's a very nice, of course, it privileges jnana above everything else, because this is, after all, Advaita Vedanta. And then you can happily drink the cup of tea, that is the tea of knowledge, of non-duality. Without these, without the cup and the table, if you try to pour the tea, you just make a big mess. So, there all of that is indicated. Nirvyaja Shantatmana. Very beautiful. Nirvyaja means not crooked. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, simplicity in a spiritual seeker, simplicity is a sign of the last life. Shesh Jon mein Sharol hai. This simplicity, this is exactly the meaning of the word nirvyaja, without crookedness, without duplicity, without cunning. And that simple, pure mind, simple does not mean foolish. Spiritual seekers, especially the advanced ones, they are very intelligent. They understand far more than us, but they seem very simple. They are very simple, but they are very deep. They understand all of whatever we are thinking, what we want, and yet forgive us for it. It's just like a little kid who pretends, and the mother understands all the pretensions of the kid, but she's affectionate. Swami Akhandanandaji, before his passing away, surrounded by disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Akhandananda, one of the last things he said was, I see clearly in whatever is in all of your minds, all those around me. I see clearly why you have come, for various reasons, spiritual, not so spiritual. But for me, you are all the same. I have equal affection for all of you. So, nirvyaja shantatmana. And then, enlightened, jivan mukta. How does an enlightened person live? So he concludes with that in the third verse. Bhutam bhavicha dushkritam pradahata samvidmaye pavake. The fire of knowledge, I am consciousness, it destroys the seeds of karma. All accumulated karma, past karma and karma to come, they are all burnt, so that there is no future birth. And what about this life? It's still there. Enlightened person is there in the body. Prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapu. The prarabdha, the past karma, whatever is happening in this life is because of my past karma. The enlightened one has nothing more to gain, only to give, and nothing more to gain from this world. So let, in Swami Vivekananda's words, let karma float it down. Heed no more how body lives or goes. For the enlightened person, not for... we have to heed how body lives and goes, because we have something to accomplish. At least enlightenment we have got to accomplish. A worldly person has to accomplish worldly goals. Earn money, take care of the family, and do things in the world. Enlightened, the spiritual seeker also has something to accomplish. Find enlightenment. So for both of them, body is important. You must have good health, and you must have a calm and balanced mind and life. But the enlightened person has no further use for this body. So this body is only for the welfare of others. Heed no more how body lives or goes. Let karma float it down. Its task is done. Go thou from place to place and help people everywhere. Lift Maya's veil. Take them beyond Maya's veil. So the Song of Sannyasin by Swami Vivekananda. He says, Prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapu. Such an enlightened person, that is my conclusion, that enlightened being lives in this way. The Jivan Mukta lives in this way. The next two verses, I'm not going into that, we've run out of time. The next two verses, the fourth verse is built around the great sentence, this very self is Brahman. Ayam Atma Brahma. And there, he talks about Vedantic Nididhyasana. That means Vedantic contemplation. Basically, he points out this. It's not just meditation with eyes closed. Not that just Brahman is available here. If this is all Brahman, even with eyes open, even when engaged in the world, talking, walking, eating, one should be able to experience God everywhere, Brahman everywhere. As Sri Ramakrishna said, what? Does God exist when with the eyes closed? When I open my eyes, there is no God. What kind of God is that? So, Shankaracharya very, very beautifully shows that for the unenlightened person, the activities of the mind, the activities of the senses, cloud the inner awareness, and we get engaged in the body-mind. For the enlightened person, the very activities of the body and mind are lit up by I, the consciousness. So every activity just points me back towards my real nature as consciousness. And in the last verse, Shankaracharya talks about something very nice. You see, all this while he has been talking about consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. Sat, Chit, Ananda. What we are interested in is Ananda, bliss. What about bliss? What about fulfillment, happiness? In the last verse, he talks about the Vedantic idea of happiness. That there is this entire, this limitless ocean of fulfillment, happiness within us, our real nature. Only a bit of which we find in the world and we madly chase after it. It's all there within us. Every happiness, so-called happiness in the world, is just spray, in his own words, Shankaracharya's own words, is just spray from the limitless ocean of happiness within us. And that ocean of happiness, I am. And the enlightened person, the mind is merged in this ocean of happiness. He makes a very interesting comment there, Shankaracharya. Brahmaiva nacha brahmavit. This enlightened person is not a knower of Brahman. Does not consider that, we call that person enlightened person, free while living, Jivan Mukta, the knower of Brahman, Brahmagyani, none of which is true. The enlightened person does not think that way. The enlightened person thinks or knows, I am Brahman, not a knower of Brahman. Kena Upanishad discusses this. Do you know Brahman? No. If you think you know Brahman, you do not know Brahman. If you really know Brahman, then you will know, I am Brahman. This is the story of Nisargadatta, which I like very much. Our Radhakrishnan ji is present here. I think he must be the only one who actually met Nisargadatta there. So Nisargadatta was once, somebody said to him, you are a great knower of Brahman. And he shouted, you're insulting me. And even his anger was a teaching. You're insulting me. Insult, this is the greatest praise in our culture, that you are a knower, enlightened person, knower of Brahman. He said, no, I am not a knower of Brahman. I am Brahman. Brahmaiva nacha brahmavit. Such a person, be it an outcast, a Chandala, or be it the highest Brahmin, is my Guru. This is my firm conviction, my realization. Thank you very much. And we shall do Mananam, Vedantic reasoning, question and answer, a little later. There will be music.